Day, and also happy Spiritual Father's Day, because we know that there's some that have had an input from their biological father, or alternatively a mentor or someone that's spoken into your life. And I just pray that this will be a blessing, and may you be also encouraged to go and reach out to thank those people who have spoken to your life. Many of you may know that I work for an organisation called Focus on the Family. We do a lot of radio work, so we thought Shabu asked me to do a little bit of a radio interview type of thing, and we've got a bit of a panel. So we're going to be starting, and hopefully you'll just picture you're turning on the radio in your homes or in your car right now. Fathers carry an incredible responsibility. When they are attentive to their children, they build relationships that encourage healthy development and role model what it means to love God. Unfortunately, many men struggle with fatherhood today, not due to a lack of love for their children, but because of the numerous pressures, the prevailing culture our children are growing up in, and the increasing pace and the cost of living. Some men have been blessed with great father figures, while others have learnt valuable lessons from different experiences. We'll be hearing from two fathers today, one of them whom is a grandfather. I'll give you a guess who that is. They will share some of the highs and challenges they have experienced and how their faith has helped them lead their homes and their families. Our guests today are Trevor Bell and Nathan Kaiser, and you're listening to Canterbury Gardens Community Church Radio. Well, welcome, gentlemen. We'll start with you, Trevor. Tell us a little bit about the Trevor story.
Okay, I've been married to Leslie for coming up 48 years. We had 4 boys under 6, and those boys are now in their late 30s and early 40s. We have 12 grandchildren, and we've kept life in balance with 6 girls and 6 boys, and they're all under 13.
Yeah. What about you, Nathan?
Well, I've been married to the lovely Grace for 9 years. We've got 3 children, 6, 4 and 1. And we live right beside Grace's mum, which is lovely. So we've got a grandma and aunt and uncle right next door. And we love to spend a bunch of time outside with them. My wife, Grace, is a teacher and I'm a policeman, but we are able to do part-time and share the role of parenting, which is great in this new environment of parenting. It's not like it used to be, I suppose, where the breadwinner can now be split, I suppose. And I come from a Christian family with 2 pastors' parents, mission-oriented, and Grace comes from a family who have been mission-oriented, taking her overseas when she was only 5 years old to do a missions trip. So, we come from good stock, I think.
Did you ever want to become a pastor?
I thought about it, but I soon realised it's not my gifting. I'm not the front guy.
Fair enough. Growing up, Trevor, what was your experience and what was it like and the relationship that you had with your father?
Well, my dad worked very, very hard to provide for the family. We lived in the township of Wangaratta in the northeast of Victoria, and my father would leave in the morning before dawn and be home after the sun set. So we didn't see a lot of him. He would make it to most meal times, but worked very, very hard. He did do a work in the Beechworth prison amongst the prisoners to share the gospel with the prisoners, and when the prisoners were released, it was his, he wanted to show them that they were valued, and he would invite them back to our house on the way back to Melbourne when they were released. So we would get to share a meal with the prisoners, and sometimes if Dad had a very good relationship with them, he would invite them to stay the night. So we got to see that. and experience that love for people who had not necessarily gone down the right road.
And with regard to that, you said that your dad was absent a lot. There's things, obviously, his work ethic came to you and your love for God and love for others. But are there things that you may have learnt from his example that you said, you know what, I'm not going to do that?
Yeah, I suppose my dad's absence made me more determined to be present with my boys, and I tried very hard to be available for their sports and to be present in their lives. At one stage, the under-12 cricket club at Emerald had the 4 Bells, the 3 Coxes, the 3 Lucases, and a couple of randoms. So we made up a lot of the team, and if any one of the families was late, the game couldn't start.
You mentioned something to me just earlier, and I thought I'd just say, your dad didn't often say "I love you" verbally. He showed his love, but you made that determination that you would tell your boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also made it a habit in the home when we're at meal times to compliment my wife on her cooking. The boys thought it was a scream because they knew what I would say. "What's this, Dale? What did you do to it?" And I would follow that up with a prayer for the meal, thanking God for our provision and also being thankful for the hands that have prepared it.
That's so good. That's so good.
So my goal was to show love to my wife, which I was hopeful that later on in life they would show towards their respective spouses and also their children. So we were continually telling them that we loved them, and sometimes the choices they made weren't the choices we would have made, but to be there and tell them that we loved them and show them that we loved them, even though their choices weren't the ones that we would have made, was important.
Yeah. Nathan, the challenge of being a parent is enormous, but there's got to be some rewarding moments. Can you think of an example that was, you go, this is great?
Yeah, definitely. I think daily, like, kids are great. They've got no filter, and they don't really have a concept of reality, so they'll just speak whatever's on their mind. But my oldest is a rule follower, which is great. My second is a real risky taker, and the third seems to be taking after him. So it's fun to watch them when they're playing on the trampoline or something, and the second will show climbing on something. It's a bit risky, and the third one will go, yeah, I'm as big as you, I can do this. But it's beautiful to see him, helping her to do these tricky things, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to go badly. And sure enough, sometimes it does. Sometimes there's a few knocks. But it's beautiful to see them, run to each other and look after each other. Put little Josie's shoes back on her so that she can chase him around the backyard after being on the trampoline. It's beautiful to see them interact.
Yeah, Trevor, when you're realising some of the mistakes that your dad did, and you wanted to make sure that you didn't replicate that, but was there a moment when you go, you know what, I've got this fatherhood gig, and can you remember an example when you go, yep, I think I've got this down pat?
Because we had 4 boys under 6, they were also all teenagers together. So they were 13, 15, 17 and 19. So that was a pretty critical time in our journey as a family, and we'd actually just moved house. All the boys had different addresses on their birth certificates because we moved every 2 years. And this move was to a family home that we stayed in for 16 years. And we had the opportunity to do a drug-proofing your kids course with the boys, and that involved a survey that they had to complete, And one of the questions was, who is your hero in life? And they all said it was me. So that gave me a lot of joy.
Fantastic. And you didn't have to wear your underpants on the outside. Nathan, you were mentioning about the rewarding experiences and seeing your kids interact with one another and sometimes not so well, but at the same time, I can imagine it being a lot of fun and laughter. Can you remember a funny story?
Yeah, just the other week, Benji just came up to me, said out of the blue, "Dad, when I have my 3 kids," and he went off to list their names. I really thought this through, buddy. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he ended that with, I'm going to give them all the lollies and ice cream they want or something. So yeah, that's his concept of the future. But I'm looking forward to me being the guy giving lollies and fruit to his kid, ice cream to his kids in the future.
Fair enough. Yeah. What about you, Trevor? Have you a funny story with your boys?
Yeah, the house I just described at 16 Flower Street was a home that, as I said, we stayed in for 16 years, but we made it the gathering spot for the boys. So any gatherings that happened at our place, and the boys made friends that those guys are still their friends today. But we had a room in the house where we watched TV and we watched sports, Foxtel and what have you. And Zach said to me one night, just off the cuff, "Hey Dad, can we invite a few people around to watch the World Cup?" And I said, "Yeah, that's no problem," thinking it starts at about 7:30 p.m. So when the boys started rolling in at about midnight and they queued up the game at about 3 a.m, we found out when the World Cup soccer starts.
Just letting you know, it's on the other side of the world, so it sort of gives you a clue.
Fortunately, my wife and I sleep on the other side of the house, so we did get a little bit of sleep that night.
Do you notice how Trevor, being a real estate agent, remembers the address of where he lived and all those times? Just thought that was quite interesting. Growing up, there are certain things that you were exposed to, Nathan. But what are you concerned about your children now growing up in this culture today?
Yeah, I think it's on everybody's mind is social media, interconnectedness. I feel like past parenting, while difficult, gave you an ability to see your kids' friends, maybe assess and discuss your children's friends with them, and see where they're leading. But now there's a lot of that which is unearthed. It's hidden. It's So it takes an ability to be able to work with your kids through that, which I think is it's an emerging sort of issue or idea, and I'm looking forward to how are we going to address this with my kids. There's a lot of ideas. Yeah, talk to Grace. She knows. Yeah. She knows lots of things, but just getting ourselves around that. Thankfully, the kids aren't there yet. Now,
fortunately, your children have grown up, and now you've got your grandchildren. That's like that. But in your journey as a father, what did you find the most challenging, and what did you learn from it?
Okay. Most of you know that I'm a real estate agent, and I'm a second generation real estate agent. My dad kicked off the business in 1973, and I've run it since 1993. In the last 14 to 15 years, 3 of my boys have joined us in the business, and we've set up an office each for them at Montrose, Olinda and Belgrave. And if any of you here have been involved with a family business, it doesn't come without its challenges. And my boys are all different personalities and they do things in different ways. So the challenge has been to work with those different personalities in all the various challenges we have in the business, and be respectful to one another. And fortunately, if any of you have boys, you'll know that they can be vehemently opposed on a certain issue, but then they can move on very quickly once they've sorted it out. They don't then regurgitate that over and over again. So I've been thankful for that. I've been thankful that at the end of the day they're brothers and they love one another and they'll find a way to move forward.
Yeah.
So that's been really important.
Nathan, we've got a real estate agent and boys are following in their footsteps. Do you want your children to follow in your footsteps as a police officer?
No. No, I had a very difficult journey beginning as a police officer because it's a role that it takes a lot of faith to complement your faith with your work because of what you deal with day to day. So I don't think I'd like my boys to have that struggle because I want them to follow Jesus, regardless of what job they do. Yeah.
Well, that's a nice way to final questions. And Trevor, we'll start with you. How has your faith helped you in your journey as a father, grandfather?
Yeah, I guess growing up in a Christian household and just watching the strong faith that my father had has certainly shown me the importance of being that father figure and being a father figure who honours the Lord. And so each of my boys have at times through the journey professed their faith. We have 2 boys that are walking with the Lord currently and 2 that aren't. But my belief is that once they have professed their faith, asked for forgiveness, they're in God's hands and no one can pluck them out of his hands. So I rely on that, and I rely on the fact that there's a little voice in their heads, and I believe that's the Holy Spirit.
Yeah,
just
good.
tugging away at their hearts.
I'm sure there'll be many people listening today that will be saying, that's my journey. And all you can do is really pray. Because they know the deposits and the example that you set for your boys and Leslie will never be lost, will never be returned void. Nathan, what about you? What about you and how has faith helped you as being a dad?
Being a father, I've only done 6 years of it, but it's a challenging role. But I think the beauty of faith, how it connects with being a father, is that we have that perfect example in God the Father, but also grace, that we don't have to reach perfection ourselves. Jesus has forgiven and cleansed us and enables us to do a better job, to ask for that forgiveness from our children as well and do it better the next time.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Why don't we give our appreciation to Nathan and Trevor. Stay there. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journeys and your insights on fatherhood and grandfatherhood. Being a father encompasses more than providing financial support, safety, security, and a roof over our children's heads. It also involves guiding them to understand God, as fathers are the first glimpse of their spiritual father. Dads deserve our prayers, our appreciation, our encouragement, and respect as they lead their homes and their families with integrity, strength, and courage. And to help you in your fatherhood journey, Focus on the Family Australia, plug, has put together a free Dad's Toolkit, which you'll see a QR code above today. And it has conversation starters and things you can do along with your children and things that you can actually be challenged at over the next 12 months. So that's available for free. And finally, it's always sobering to remember that there are no perfect biological fathers. They will make mistakes, but we do have a perfect Heavenly Father that loves us. Thank you for listening to Canterbury Gardens Community Church Radio.